Yo, what's going on guys, it's Cynical and welcome back to another Kingdom Hearts 3 discussion video. Today for you guys, I wanted to sit down and talk about Donald's ZettaFlare, as this scene in the Keyblade Graveyard has to go down as one of the most badass scenes throughout probably the entirety of Kingdom Hearts for me personally. It's hilarious that for so many years, Donald has had so much bullshit thrown his way, and it is 100% obvious that Square Enix as well as Nomura have been, totally aware of the absolute backlash that Donald has been receiving. And so I think through that, they decided, alright, boys, we're gonna give Donald a shining star moment in Kingdom Hearts 3. But in fact, we're going to give him such a goddamn shining moment to the point where Donald Duck is quite possibly one of the gat-dang strongest beings there actually is. Because I'm telling you guys right now, ZettaFlare is an absolute beast of an ability, and I thought it would be cool to actually figure out exactly how strong ZettaFlare is. Now, as a quick recap, when the Guardians of Light get to the Keyblade Graveyard, they obviously come across a Terra Xehanort. Terra Xehanort ends up slapping the Guardians left, right, and center, and in this moment, Donald feels like there is no other choice but to whip out his supreme reigning ultimate ability. Now, while Donald is actually casting ZettaFlare, which takes a few seconds, we can see that both Mickey and Goofy do seem to know and understand what exactly is going on, especially when looking towards Goofy, who actually ended up yelling out Donald no. Now, specifically when looking towards that line, it kind of makes me think that at some point throughout both Donald and Goofy's history throughout the Kingdom Hearts universe, Donald at some point has actually casted ZettaFlare before. As with Goofy yelling out Donald no, it lets us know that Goofy is aware as to what is going to happen to Donald once he actually casts this spell. Now, it should be known that Donald doesn't actually die from using ZettaFlare, more so all of the Guardians perish once, of course, the demon tide breaks out and consumes them all. It's explained in the story section of the Gummy Phone that Donald simply passes out from exhaustion from using this ability, but that is obviously a clear indication that the caster has to sacrifice a large amount of life force in order to actually activate this ability. So yeah, Donald only passes out from using this ability and not so much literally dies, but clearly both Goofy as well as Mickey knew that this was going to happen if of course Donald went through with it. Now, the flare attack has actually been featured in Kingdom Hearts before, but with the variation of Mega Flare opposed to that of ZettaFlare. In fact, the interesting thing about this is ZettaFlare has never appeared in a Kingdom Hearts or even a Final Fantasy game at all ever before. Kingdom Hearts 3 is the very first time we've ever seen the variation of Zeta, and of course in this case specifically ZettaFlare, ever being used. Now, as we know, Kingdom Hearts borrows a lot of the different spell variations and abilities from the Final Fantasy series. Flare is obviously an ability in Final Fantasy that Kingdom Hearts has since borrowed. Now, a lot of the different characters throughout Final Fantasy can actually use Flare, but namely the stronger variations of which, for the most part, can actually only be used by Bahamut. Now, Bahamut is a summon throughout the Final Fantasy series and is often known as one of the strongest beings in the Final Fantasy universe. Now, Bahamut does have a lot of different forms, and the stronger his form, the stronger the flare type he can use. Throughout Final Fantasy, Bahamut can use Mega Flare, Giga Flare, as well as Terra Flare and Exa Flare. Now, you guys will notice that the tier naming for the flare spells is actually using the binary prefix, which is obviously used to measure how much data something has. Now, the strongest flare attack that a variation of Bahamut can use is known as Exa Flare. This means that, in theory, ZettaFlare, yes, the big fuck-off blast spell that Donald Duck, a Disney character, uses in Kingdom Hearts 3, is 1,000 times stronger than the strongest spell attack that one of the strongest characters in Final Fantasy can use. And keeping in mind, Bahamut is looked up upon as a fucking god. 1,000 times stronger than one of the strongest abilities the strongest Final Fantasy character can use. Donald Duck is out of control! One hilarious thing to think about is Bahamut was actually going to be a summon for the very first Kingdom Hearts game. Now, the real reason as to why Square didn't end up putting Bahamut into Kingdom Hearts 1 in the end was due to the hardware limitations on the PlayStation 2 at the time. Their idea for what they wanted a Bahamut summon to be like in Kingdom Hearts just wasn't going to happen. However, though, it's actually got me thinking now, maybe they decided not to put Bahamut as a summon in Kingdom Hearts because essentially we've been running around with a fucking duck that's basically as strong, if not stronger than the man! So like I was saying, I really do feel as if Nomura and the team wanted to give Donald Duck some kind of redemption moment in the game. And by certainly using such a crazy, insane ability like ZettaFlare, one that has not been seen in either of the Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts universes, that is a pretty big honor to hold. After seeing that, you know, I take back everything that I've ever said about Donald ever. Although it kind of makes you think, like, have both Donald and Goofy been holding back their true potentials throughout the entirety of the series and really have been more so parenting Sora the whole way, letting him kind of just have his, you know, spotlight moments? Now, as we were talking about before, there is a bit of a sacrifice when using ZettaFlare, and that is obviously consuming a large amount of one's life force to the point of knocking them unconscious. So it's not like Donald Duck can just run around and cast ZettaFlare all the time. Otherwise, yes, this duck would probably be dead. And also seeing the worry of Goofy yelling out Donald's no, that might not have just been a sort of reaction to him knowing what would happen to Donald with him being knocked unconscious, but it also makes me think, is it possible that if one actually uses ZettaFlare enough times, there is actually a chance that the user can actually die from casting the spell? I think though the number one thing that's on my mind now since seeing this is I definitely want to know if Donald Duck has used this before, as it just seems like he has due to what Goofy said, with knowing exactly what would happen to Donald. Maybe sometime in the early days before adventuring with Sora, back when both Donald and Goofy were actually sticking by the king's side. Maybe they actually did went on one adventure one day and Donald was actually forced or was put in a position to actually use ZettaFlare to, say, perhaps maybe protect the king. I think honestly it would be kind of cool to get some type of an origin story specifically surrounding Donald, Goofy, and Mickey, although whether that is absolutely necessary to exactly where the story is going now, who knows. Also, just to add, I absolutely love Sora's reaction once Donald has casted ZettaFlare. I mean, I know that his expression on his face is more so in the sense of worry, but I can't help but think he's just thinking, good god, that duck's got some moves. He's been this get dang strong this whole time. My power compared to his is nothing. I don't want to get on the wrong side of this bad boy. All the times you didn't heal me, it now makes sense. You were saving your MP for this one moment. However guys, thought I'd just bring you this video because again, I think that the whole ZettaFlare moment is definitely one of the coolest moments throughout Kingdom Hearts 3 and honestly, quite possibly the entirety of the Kingdom Hearts series. I don't think we can ever look at Donald Duck the same ever again. And I also really do hope that at some point as well, Goofy does have a sort of shining moment like this where he whips out some kind of crazy ability. Although Goofy has always been seen upon as the Royal Guard, and that's exactly what he also did in this moment. He fended off an attack from Terra Xehanort, and also in the past took a fucking boulder to the face by protecting the king. So maybe protection is more so up his alley rather than casting, you know, planet-destroying abilities like this fucking duck over here. In the comment section down below, guys, please do let me know your thoughts and opinions. With all that being said, I'm Cynical. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day, and until next time, guys, I'll catch you later. Peace.
Hit them on the page, you'll be coming through stunning. Gold in my mouth when you suckers be bluffing. Milk crank, gaming up the bitch though. Catch me in the back playing Super Nintendo.